Today the topic is which we will discuss is midbrain. It is a part of the brainstem. These are the objectives which we will discuss today. That we will discuss the general features of the midbrain and where it is located in the cranial fossa. What are the external features on both surfaces, ventral and the dorsal surface, and what are the features of the crus cerebri, red nucleus, and substantia nigra. After discussing the external feature, we will discuss the internal structures at two levels and some clinical correlations. This red color is the midbrain. And above the midbrain, this is mesencephalon, which consists of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. And the below the midbrain is continuous with the pons. This is pons. The midbrain is the uppermost part of the brainstem, and so it is continuous above with the mesencephalon and below with the pons. This is you can see this structure is the cerebellum. The midbrain is connected with the cerebellum via superior cerebellar peduncle, while the pons is connected with the cerebellum via middle cerebellar peduncle. And after that, the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is connected with the cerebellum via the inferior cerebellar peduncle. So size of the midbrain is about 2 centimeter. Okay. Now it means it connects the cerebellum with the forebrain. Forebrain means telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon give rise to cerebral hemisphere, while the diencephalon give rise thalamus and hypothalamus. You can see this is the falx cerebri, which is the durameter fold, and this is tentorium cerebelli, and this is the tentorial notch. Why I am showing to this tentorial notch? Because the midbrain is passing through this tentorial notch. Okay. So it is important BCQ which structure passes through this tentorial notch. The answer will be midbrain. Now it's in this is tentorial notch from which and this is the tentorium cerebelli. Tentorium cerebelli has a free margin, and this free margin gives rise the tentorial notch. And what is the cavity of the midbrain? The cavity of the midbrain is the cerebral aqueduct. And another name of the cerebral aqueduct is the duct of Selves, which is filled with the CSF, means cerebrospinal fluid. This is the diagram I have showed previously. This midbrain, and this is cerebellum. Midbrain is connected with the cerebellum via superior cerebellar peduncle. In this diagram, this upper portion is showing the midbrain. Now we are going to discuss the parts of the midbrain. Midbrain consists of tectum. This you can see this is the narrow cavity. This is the cavity of the midbrain, which is known as the cerebral aqueduct or the duct of Selves. So tectum is the part that lies posterior to the cerebral aqueduct. This is cerebral aqueduct, and it means this is tectum, and it consists of 2 superior colliculi and 2 inferior colliculi. ये साइड पोज का सेक्शन है, तो इसलिए एक एक आपको कोलिकुलस नजर आ रहा है, वरना 2 सुपीरियर होंगे और 2 inferior होंगे. So this part is known as the tectum, which lies behind the cerebral aqueduct. And these are the cerebral peduncles. Right and left cerebral peduncle. They are located anterior to the cerebral aqueduct. So midbrain is divided into 2 parts, tectum and cerebral peduncle. The cerebral peduncle will also contain the consist of three parts, which will be discussed later in next slide. So the part behind the cerebral aqueduct is known as the tectum, and part behind in front of the cerebral aqueduct is known as the cerebral peduncle. Now we are going to discuss the parts of the cerebral peduncle. This whole structure is known as the, my laser pointer is showing this whole structure is known as the cerebral peduncle. It consists of tegmentum. This middle portion is known as the tegmentum. These two substantia nigra and two crus cerebri. So cerebral peduncle consists of three parts: single tegmentum, pair of substantia nigra, and pair of crus cerebri. Crus cerebri, these two crus cerebri are present anteriorly, substantia nigra in the midline, and tegmentum posteriorly. Okay, this tegmentum portion is traversed by the cerebral aqueduct. This is the cavity of the midbrain. Now you can see this midbrain. This is the posterior surface. These are the two superior collicular, and these are the two inferior collicular. And this structure midbrain passes from the tentorium cerebelli के फ्री मार्जिन में जो टेंटोरियल नॉच है वहाँ से पास हो रहा है. This is the trochlear nerve. It means trochlear nerve emerges from the posterior or dorsal surface of the midbrain. This is the only nerve, cranial nerve, which arises from the dorsal surface. All other nerves are arising from the ventral surface of the brainstem. So this trochlear nerve, which is the fourth cranial nerve, emerges from the dorsal surface of the midbrain, and it goes on the ventral surface and then crosses to each other. And this is the main VCQ. This trochlear nerve, which arises from the dorsal surface of the brainstem or midbrain, it arises below the inferior colliculus, not below the superior colliculus. So we will discuss, when we discuss the internal structure of the midbrain, we will discuss it at two levels, at the level of superior colliculus and at the level of the inferior colliculus. सुपीरियर कोलिकुलस की लेवल में आपको मिलेगी oculomotor nerve जो वेंट्रल सरफेस पे होगी, और inferior colliculus की लेवल पे हमें क्या मिल रही है, trochlear nerve which arises from the dorsal surface of the midbrain. This superior colliculus is connected with the lateral geniculate body via this structure known as the superior brachium. These are the white matters, and this inferior colliculus connected with the medial geniculate body. This is medial geniculate body via the inferior brachium. Lateral geniculate body दूर है और medial geniculate body करीब है. तो आँख में जो इस थोड़ा सा रिमेम्बरिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बता रही हूँ कि भी अगर जैसे आँख में काजल लगाते हैं तो वो थोड़ा दूर करके लगाती हैं, एक लाइन पुराने ज़माने में लगाते थे. तो मीडियल जेनिकुलेट बॉडी जो, और कान में जो सुनना होता है किसी की बात, किसी की जासूसी करनी होती है तो करीब जाके सुनते हो. तो उसके लिए आप समझ लो कि ये जो मीडियल जेनिकुलेट बॉडी और इंफीरियर कोलिकुलस कंसर्न विद द ऑडिटरी फंक्शन, while the superior colliculus and the lateral geniculate body, they are concerned with the visual functions. ठीक है, ये बहुत अहम MBCQ है. Superior colliculus connect with the lateral geniculate body via superior brachium. Inferior colliculus connect with the medial geniculate body via inferior brachium. Okay, the cavity of the midbrain is the cerebral aqueduct, and these are the two cerebral peduncles. These two are 1 and 2. The cerebral peduncle enclosed within it a fossa which is known as the interpeduncular fossa, and it is very important basically that the content of the, you should know the content of the interpeduncular fossa. This is tuber cinerarium or infundibulum, and these are the two mammillary bodies, and this is the posterior perforated substance. The midbrain, which is also known as the mesencephalon, also contain the headquarter of the reticular activating system. So, stimulation of the midbrain or mesencephalon, that portion which contains the reticular activating system, makes you more alert and attentive. Now, the ventral surface of the midbrain. In this diagram, you can see that these are the cerebral peduncles, and this is the interpeduncular fossa. The interpeduncular fossa is bounded by the two crus cerebri, which are these crus cerebri are the parts of the cerebral peduncle. And from the medial side of this crus cerebri, you can see this arising a nerve, that is the third cranial nerve known as the oculomotor nerve. So this is the ventral surface of the midbrain. Many small blood vessels perforating this floor, so give rise the presence of posterior perforated substance. Why it is perforated? Because many small blood vessels perforate the floor of this interpeduncular fossa. So what are the contents of the interpeduncular fossa? Very important question. Infundibulum, two mammillary bodies, and the posterior perforated substance. And what are the boundaries of this interpeduncular fossa? On each side it is bounded by the cerebral peduncle or crus cerebri, and in front this is the optic tract. On side by the now the oculomotor nerve, which arising from this is the oculomotor nerve in third cranial nerve, and it arises from the ventral surface, because this is the ventral surface of the midbrain, and from the medial part of the crus cerebri है, इसकी ये medial part से है, और ये जो पीछे से आपको आती हुई नजर आ रही है, this is the trochlear nerve. ये इससे जाके ये इधर जाएगी और ये इस तरह आपस में एक दूसरे को क्रॉस करेगी. ठीक है. अब now oculomotor nerve, which is the, अब यहाँ पे midbrain ही है. This is the oculomotor nerve. The oculomotor nerve का न्यूक्लियस, जिसमें parasympathetic इसका जो पार्ट है, उसके न्यूक्लियस को कहते हैं एडेंजर वेस्पार न्यूक्लियस. इट इज वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट BCQ. The adenjar Westphal nucleus is related with which nerve? Answer will be the oculomotor nerve. So you can see that this is the oculomotor nerve passing this, and these are the, ये यहाँ पे basilar artery होगी, which gives the posterior cerebral. This is the posterior cerebral artery, and this is the superior cerebellar artery. इन दोनों के में से पास हो रही है oculomotor nerve, और अगर इस artery का कोई disease होगी तो ये nerve compress होगी. And this structure is showing the cavernous sinus. So this nerve passes from the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus. This structure is the superior orbital fissure.